My wife gave my office to an intern, so I took everything. My vice president's office was given away by my wife Victoria to a new intern, Ethan Morgan. Ethan posted photos of the office on social media with the caption, "Thank you, Ms. Beckett, for your trust and mentorship. I'll work hard not to disappoint." My assistant, David Miller, sent me the screenshots. In the photos, the entire office layout had been changed. All my awards were gone. I forwarded it directly to Victoria Beckett. "Victoria, what is the meaning of this? Why is an intern occupying my private office?" Victoria replied with a voice message, her tone laced with intoxication, sincere. "Darling, it's just an office. You're not using it right now anyway. I want that office restored to its original state within 10 minutes. Victoria didn't reply. 2 minutes later, the most important contract for Beckett Group was forcibly terminated. If someone wanted to challenge my authority, I wouldn't mind bankrupting Beckett Group. Chapter 1. Victoria's calls hammered my phone, one after another. I let it ring until the 5th call before answering. Her furious roar came through the receiver. "Sincere Clark, are you insane? That's a 200 million project. You know, the product launch is next week. Stopping it now is tantamount to destroying the company. Are you really doing this over an office?" In 5 years of marriage, this was the first time she had ever lashed out at me over another man. I took a slow sip of whiskey, feeling the liquid slide down my throat, a chill spreading through me. "This isn't about the office. Victoria, restore the office immediately, including all my awards. Not a single thing out of place. Otherwise, the company stands to lose much more." Silence hung on the other end for a few seconds. "You have 5 minutes left now," I stated coldly and hung up. 2 minutes later, she sent photos of the restored office. Everything was back in its original position. Upon receiving the photos, I immediately contacted the project manager and rescinded the termination order. Then I sent Victoria a photo. It showed her study completely emptied, including her favorite antique, the priceless one she had just acquired at auction. Attached was another photo, the antique smashed into pieces on the floor. "Victoria, consider this your punishment. You know my temper. Don't let it happen again." There was no further response from Victoria. I knew she was furious, but I was even more so. Our marriage began out of a need for a strategic alliance between our family's businesses. 5 years ago, she needed the Clark Corporation's overseas market channels, and I needed the Beckett Group's domestic production base. A marriage of convenience was the logical outcome. There was no passionate romance, only mutual benefit born from rational choices. "Sincere, not only will we support each other in business, but I will also trust and respect you in our marriage," Victoria had said before the wedding, holding my hand, her gaze firm and sincere. "I appreciate your candor, Ms. Beckett. I hope our partnership will be pleasant," I had replied with a smile. Over 5 years, we grew from strangers to familiar partners, from respect to reliance, and then affection and love began to bloom. We spent countless nights leaning on each other after endless business dinners. This year, we finally had a baby, Leo. He was the best testament to our love, and it made me believe our bond was unbreakable. But now, Ethan Morgan's appearance had shattered all the understanding and trust we had built. Chapter 2. Victoria didn't come home that night. I knew it was her way of expressing her anger and dissatisfaction. The next day, I removed the bandages from my leg and went directly to the Beckett Group headquarters. The employees' eyes widened in surprise when they saw me. Then they quickly lowered their heads in greeting. "Mr. Clark, aren't you still recovering from your injury? Why are you here today?" the young receptionist asked with concern. "There are some matters I need to handle personally." After a slight nod, I headed straight for the executive floor. The moment the elevator doors opened, I heard laughter coming from Victoria's office. Through the partially open door, I saw Ethan Morgan sitting beside her. Victoria's eyes were filled with amusement, a stark contrast to the cool demeanor she usually maintained with her secretaries. Normally, she never allowed anyone besides me to linger in her office, let alone show such a gentle expression. But now, She and Ethan were sitting so close there was barely any space between them, chatting happily. Ethan was wearing a high-end luxury suit. It was a style I had previously admired, one Victoria had mentioned she wanted to buy for me. The suit wasn't just expensive, it was a limited edition, with only 5 made globally. And now, it was being worn by an intern. I pushed the door open and walked in. The laughter stopped abruptly. The smile on Victoria's face froze instantly. "What are you doing here?" Ethan quickly stood up, putting on a respectful expression, and greeted me softly. "Mr. Clark, I heard you just had surgery. You should be resting at home. Why come to the office so suddenly?" I sneered, retorting, "Who gave you permission to comment on my affairs? Which blind fool hired such an ill-mannered piece of trash?" The smile on Ethan's face instantly stiffened, his mouth agape, unsure how to respond. "Take off that suit. Now." The atmosphere in the office plummeted to freezing point. Ethan's eyes widened, his lips trembling in disbelief. He looked towards Victoria, his eyes pleading. I turned to Victoria as well, my gaze glacial. "Explain why my suit is on him." Victoria frowned deeply, impatiently saying, "Because of the office incident yesterday, Ethan was gossiped about by many colleagues, so I compensated him a little. It's just a suit. I'll get you a better one later." "Compensated?" I scoffed. "This suit might not be much to us, but it's still a limited edition. Haute couture piece, one of only 5 in the world. What status does Ethan Morgan have to wear it? Besides, what happened yesterday was his own fault for not knowing his place. Victoria, have you forgotten your own status? Forgotten who I am? Who allowed you to casually give away something that belongs to me?" My words left Ethan pale and trembling. He stammered an explanation. "I'm sorry, Mr. Clark. I didn't know this suit was yours. Now you know." "Take it off immediately." Seeing me interrupt Ethan and remain relentless, Victoria became agitated. "Sincere Clark, don't push it. We have a project meeting to attend. Stop making a scene here." My heart sank. She never raised her voice to me in the office, but now she was breaking that rule for Ethan. Beside her, Ethan visibly relaxed, seeing Victoria stand up for him. "Project? Which project?" "The collaboration with a group. Ethan and I are about to leave." Victoria tugged at her sleeve, her tone even more impatient. "Secretary Morgan was a great help with this matter, so I'm taking him along for the talks." I raised an eyebrow, smiling sarcastically. "Oh? Since when did an intern have so much influence that he could affect the decisions of a publicly listed company?" Victoria's face darkened. She grabbed her bag and motioned for Ethan to follow. "Let's go. Don't waste any more time." As they brushed past me, Ethan shot me a smug smile, his eyes full of provocation. "Victoria, you asked for this. Since you insist on defending Ethan Morgan, don't blame me for being ruthless." After they left, I pulled out my phone and dialed the private number of a group's chairman. "Chairman Harrison, this is Sincere Clark. About the collaboration Victoria Beckett is coming to discuss today." Chapter 3. An hour later, I received a call from Victoria. She was furious, her voice practically roaring. "Sincere Clark, what the hell are you trying to do?" Chairman Harrison not only publicly humiliated Ethan, calling him a pretty boy, a man who sleeps his way to the top, he also said, "The Beckett Group was built on your back, and that while you're recovering, I'm already finding other men ungrateful and foolish. This was all you're doing, wasn't it?" I chuckled lightly. "Victoria, I can't control what others think or say. People have eyes. They can judge right from wrong for themselves." Ethan left in humiliation, and the deal fell through. "Are you satisfied now?" "Satisfied? Immensely satisfied. You brought this upon yourselves." After hanging up, the anger in my chest subsided slightly. Later, I received a message from David Miller, my assistant, saying that the news about Ethan had spread throughout the company. When he returned, colleagues pointed fingers at him. Some even cursed him to his face, calling him shameless, dishonest, lacking real ability, and using dirty tricks to get ahead. Everything on his desk was thrown into the trash bin. Even though he desperately pleaded that he wasn't that kind of person and they couldn't treat him this way, No one in the company listened to his defense. Who would cross the vice president for an intern? Everyone was kicking him while he was down. I'd seen this kind of thing countless times. Ethan was reaping what he sowed. An intern with no background and no real skills, trying to climb the ladder based on a little favor from Victoria? It was laughable, humiliated, and enraged. Ethan submitted his resignation. Since he wasn't formally employed yet, HR approved it instantly without a second thought. Ethan's current situation was entirely his own making. Who told him to aim so high, coveting positions and people that didn't belong to him? Victoria, after placating a group following the disastrous meeting, returned to find Ethan gone. Her face turned thunderous. When she came home that evening, I was putting our son Leo to sleep. The little guy's cheeks were chubby, his nose and eyes strongly resembling Victoria's. She stood at the nursery doorway, her expression terrifyingly grim, yet she deliberately lowered her voice. Ethan did nothing wrong. He's just a hard-working boy. Now, because of you, he's not only lost his job, but his reputation is ruined too, Sincere Clark. There has to be a limit to your spoiled brat tantrums. I motioned for her to be quiet and gently laid the sleeping child down. After stepping out and closing the door, I finally spoke. Victoria, I'll say it again. I did not orchestrate Ethan's bullying or his resignation. Even though I told myself it didn't matter, the anger and distrust in Victoria's eyes still made my heart clench. Search your conscience.
How many rules have you broken for that Ethan Morgan?
It was your acquiescence, your indulgence that gave him ideas above his station. There's nothing unprofessional between me and Ethan, Victoria retorted heatedly.
Nothing unprofessional? Would you give him things that were meant for me?
Would you let him move into your office? Don't forget, the last secretary wasn't even allowed to place a temporary chair in your office for reporting work. Now you're constantly breaking rules for Ethan, even glaring furiously at your own husband for his sake. I stepped closer, looking down at her, enunciating each word. Victoria, I admit I do like you. Otherwise I wouldn't have married you, wouldn't have let you carry my child. But you also know, Sincere Clark doesn't tolerate betrayal or deceit, not even a speck of it. If you dare cross that line, even just emotional wandering or ambiguity, I wouldn't mind finding a new mother for my son. Victoria's face turned ashen. She spun around and strode towards the guest bedroom, but I understood this incident was considered closed. She would cool down in the guest room, and by the next day, we would reconcile and move on. This had been our unspoken agreement for managing our marriage over the past 5 years. However, our previous conflicts had always been about business or family matters. This was the first, and it would be the last time, it was about romantic entanglements. Chapter 4. Early the next morning, Victoria's phone rang. The caller ID showed Ethan Morgan's name. She hesitated for a moment before answering. Ethan's choked voice came through the phone. Ms. Beckett, I really don't know what to do anymore. Calm down, tell me what happened, Victoria said, frowning, her voice gentle. I'm being cyberbullied. My photos are everywhere online. Everyone is insulting me, calling me a kept man, saying I slept my way up. I am so scared I don't dare to go out now. Ethan's voice trembled with fear and helplessness, punctuated by faint sobs. Victoria's expression turned extremely ugly, her eyes blazing as she looked at me. Don't panic. Stay home. Don't move. I'll handle this immediately. News of Ethan offending me had already spread through our circles. Even if I didn't explicitly order it, business partners eager to curry favor with me would take initiative. I had seen the online situation that morning. It wasn't as severe as Ethan claimed on the phone. But I had to admit, by playing the pitiful victim, he had successfully ignited Victoria's protective instincts. Victoria's anger erupted the moment she hung up. She slammed her phone onto the table, her eyes red as she questioned me. Sincere Clark, what exactly are you trying to achieve? Ethan has already left the company, left us alone. Why are you still targeting him? How did you become so malicious, abusing your power as my husband, the president power abuser? I slammed my coffee cup down just as hard, refusing to indulge her. Victoria, I told you I didn't do anything. Who in the entire company doesn't know he offended you? Who else would do something like this besides you? Ha, Victoria. In all these years, when have you ever known me to do something and not admitted you questioned me again and again for an intern? I think you've been completely blinded by him, Victoria. Her face livid, stormed out, slamming the door behind her. I calmly wiped my mouth, watching her leave, a flicker of disappointment in my eyes. That afternoon, while scrolling through social media, I noticed that the flood of negative news about Ethan Morgan had completely vanished. In its place was an official statement from the Beckett Group. The statement praised Ethan's outstanding abilities, asserting he joined Beckett Group based on merit. It declared that Beckett Group would not tolerate malicious rumors against its employees and would pursue legal action against false online statements. My phone screen lit up with a new message notification from my assistant, David. Mr. Clark, Ms. Beckett just had the legal department issue the statement. She also publicly announced that effective immediately, Ethan Morgan will return to the company as her chief secretary. Anyone caught spreading rumors or gossiping will be fired on the spot. The whole company is now buzzing with rumors about Ms. Beckett and Ethan's relationship. David's words made my chest tighten. He followed up with another screenshot. It was a social media post from Ethan. The storms in the workplace have passed. True gold fears no fire. My efforts were not in vain. Thank you, Ms. Beckett, for recognizing my abilities. From now on, I will diligently assist Ms. Beckett and will definitely not betray this trust. The accompanying picture was an offer letter, reappointing him as chief secretary to the CEO of Beckett Group, with a salary equivalent to a vice president. Looking at that sickeningly smug post, I slammed my phone onto the desk, murder in my eyes. Soon after, Victoria came home to retrieve some documents, not even sparing me a glance. She walked straight upstairs, grabbed something from the study, and was about to leave. I tapped my fingers on the coffee table, stopping her. Victoria, what is the meaning of this? She stopped, looking at me coldly. Ethan is just a diligent employee who was targeted by you for inexplicable reasons, driven out of the company, and subjected to cyberbullying. I am merely compensating for the wrongs you committed. This is what Ethan deserves. And what if I insist you fire him? Then you just try. It was out of respect for you as my husband that I tolerated so much before, that I allowed you to abuse your position to hurt others. Now I've had enough of your actions. This time, I won't sacrifice Ethan, and I won't let you run wild anymore. Victoria turned and left, the sound of the closing door echoing through the villa. At that moment, I completely lost faith in her. Our 5-year marriage, built on shared history and partnership, could be fractured like this over a man who had appeared barely half a month ago. I sat on the sofa, anger and disappointment churning within me. The water glass in my hand shattered under the force of my grip. Blood trickled down my palm. I forced myself to calm down. Since she insisted on siding with that pretty boy, she couldn't blame me for being ruthless. Victoria, you will pay for what you've done today. Chapter 5. Having made my decision, I picked up my phone and dialed my private lawyer, Lawrence Davis. Mr. Davis, I need you to draft a divorce agreement immediately. Ensure the asset division is crystal clear. I want every single cent accounted for. Lawrence Davis on the other end was stunned by my sudden decision, cautiously confirming, Mr. Clark, are you serious? Divorce is no small matter. Immediately. Right now. I want to see the agreement within 3 days. All right, I understand. And Ms. Beckett, don't inform her. This is my decision. After hanging up, I opened my computer and pulled up all files related to business dealings with the Beckett Group. In 5 years of marriage, I had provided Beckett Group with immense advantages and resources. Now, it was time to reclaim them all. Subsequently, I issued a direct order to the Clark Corporation's overseas headquarters. Notify all partners to suspend all collaborative projects with the Beckett Group.
Cite technical adjustments as the reason.
Yes, Mr. Clark. The response was crisp and immediate, no questions asked, absolute obedience to my command. This was always the Clark way of doing things. Next were the core technical teams that Clark Corporation had invested in Beckett Group. I instructed the HR department to recall all these personnel back to Clark Corporation, offering them double their current salaries. This series of actions caught my father's attention. His call came through quickly. The moment I answered, I got straight to the point. "Dad, I've decided to divorce Victoria Beckett." There was a brief silence before my father, George Clark's, voice came through. "Have you thought this through?" "Perfectly clear." "All right then, I won't ask why. Your mother and I trust you and support your decision. Since you've decided, don't hesitate. The Clarks never dither." Within 2 days, I quietly withdrew everything. Funds in my private accounts were also transferred one by one, ensuring Victoria could never touch them again. And she remained completely unaware of all this. During these 2 days, Ethan Morgan's social media account was quite active, daily posting photos of himself accompanying Victoria to business events. New car, new watch, new office, always captioned with "grateful for Miss Beckett's mentorship." I glanced at it once on the first day and then blocked him. Trash like him wasn't worth a second look. I then threw all my energy into preparing for my new company. The phone rang suddenly. The caller ID showed Victoria. "Sincere, it's Dad's birthday today. He wants us to come to the family estate. If you don't want to go, I'll go by myself." Her voice was cold and distant. I glanced at the divorce agreement already prepared on my desk, a faint smile playing on my lips. I'll be there. It was time to lay everything bare, to end this. Chapter 6. At 7 p.m., I drove my Maybach slowly through the gates of the Beckett family estate. The courtyard was brightly lit, and faint sounds of conversation could be heard. Arthur and Eleanor Beckett, along with a few relatives, stood by the entrance to welcome guests. When they saw me get out of the car alone, a flicker of surprise crossed their faces. "Sincere, dear, where's Victoria?" Eleanor asked. It wasn't surprising they were startled. In 5 years of marriage, this was the first time we hadn't arrived together. She said she'd be along shortly. They warmly ushered me inside. The butler personally served me a cup of fine tea. I sat on the sofa, accepted the cup, and took a sip, my expression composed. Half an hour later, the main door opened again. Victoria finally arrived, fashionably late. What shocked everyone was that Ethan Morgan followed her inside. Arthur Beckett realized the impropriety instantly. His face darkened, a flash of anger in his eyes. "Victoria, this is a family dinner. What are you doing bringing an outsider?" "Dad, Ethan is my chief secretary. We just finished some business, so I brought him along. This is a family dinner. How can you mix it with company affairs?" Arthur's voice rose slightly. "Tell him to leave." Ethan's expression changed, looking pitifully at Victoria. This tactic clearly worked well on her. She immediately defended him. "Dad, Ethan is my indispensable assistant. He worked so hard today he didn't even have time to eat. Just let him stay." Seeing his daughter so clueless, Arthur grew even angrier. Has Sincere ever brought his assistant here, no matter how busy he is? "This is a family dinner, not your company's networking event, butler." "Show him out," Arthur commanded. The butler looked conflicted, caught between the family members' dispute, unsure how to act. Ethan stood behind Victoria, but his eyes kept darting towards me, a subtle, provocative smirk on his lips. This farce had completely exhausted my patience. "That won't be necessary." I cut off their argument coldly, retrieving a document from my inner suit pocket and placing it open before everyone. "I came today specifically for this." Upon seeing the large words "divorce agreement" on the cover sheet, the entire room fell silent. Victoria's face instantly turned deathly pale. The handbag in her hand slipped and fell to the floor with a dull thud. She questioned me, her voice trembling. "Sincere Clark, you want to divorce me? Are you crazy?" My gaze shifted from Victoria to Ethan, then back to her. "I'm perfectly sane," clearer than ever. Arthur and Eleanor Beckett rushed forward, trying to mediate. "Sincere, dear, if there's any misunderstanding, let's talk it over slowly. We shouldn't be impulsive about this. There's nothing more to say. My decision is made. I won't sign, Victoria suddenly yelled, her eyes reddening. Just because I made Ethan chief secretary, you want to divorce me? Victoria, you know exactly why. I stared into her eyes, stating word by word, I warned you. I gave you a chance. Sincere Clark never gives second chances. I already made an exception for you, but you threw it back in my face. Since you chose to stomp all over me for a pretty boy, don't blame me for being ruthless. The scene erupted in chaos. Victoria stubbornly refused to sign. Eleanor grabbed my arm, her voice pleading. Sincere, calm down. Let's discuss this slowly. Please don't be rash. I politely but firmly pulled away. Mrs. Beckett, my decision is final. There's no room for negotiation. Victoria, you can refuse to sign. Then we'll see each other in court. With that, I turned and strode out, leaving the chaotic dinner party behind. Chapter 7. Standing before the floor-to-ceiling window, overlooking the entire city, I felt an unprecedented sense of relief. David Miller entered my office, holding the latest report. Mr. Clark, another 30 core employees from Beckett Group submitted their applications to join us today. His voice held unconcealed excitement. So far, we've successfully poached 100 core technical personnel from Beckett. Beckett Group stock hit the lower limit at market open today. This is the 5th consecutive trading day it has done so. Additionally, several of their key projects have been forced to halt due to the talent drain. There are already rumors in the market that Beckett Group is on the verge of bankruptcy. I nodded slightly. All of this was within my expectations. Without the support of Clark Corporation, without its core technical teams, Beckett Group was like a fish out of water, struggling before its inevitable demise. By the way, Mr. Clark, there's some interesting news, David added, unable to suppress a grin. Apparently, Ethan Morgan made some grandiose claims at a Beckett executive meeting, suggesting the company pivot to the tech sector. The project failed spectacularly right after launch. Beckett Group is now in complete disarray internally. I sneered. A liberal arts major daring to direct a technical team. Truly clueless. This outcome was predictable. Ethan Morgan was merely an empty shell with a polished exterior, lacking real talent or business acumen. Victoria, blinded by emotion, had foolishly entrusted critical company decisions to such a person. The phone on my desk lit up another call from Victoria. That made 15 missed calls from her today. I directly added her number to my blacklist. I had no interest in hearing her explanations or apologies, much less knowing how she was doing now. Word had it that after Beckett's stock continued to plummet and multiple projects stalled, she finally came to her senses and fired Ethan. But it was too late. Beckett Group was severely wounded, its market value nearly halved. In the afternoon, security called, Mr. Clark, Miss Victoria Beckett is in the lobby demanding to see you. I'm not seeing her. She says she won't leave until she sees you, the guard said, sounding troubled. Then let her stand there. Have someone keep an eye on her. Make sure she doesn't cause trouble. I hung up and continued focusing on my work. Didn't she understand yet? It was all over. That evening, David messaged me saying Victoria had stood at the company entrance for 2 hours before security forcibly removed her. The next day, security called again. This time, the visitor was Arthur Beckett. I considered for a moment, then nodded, asking David to bring him up. After all, Arthur and Eleanor had treated me reasonably well over the years. Arthur Beckett's eyes were bloodshot. He looked significantly worn down. He got straight to the point upon entering. Sincere, I know Victoria made a mistake, but she realizes it now. Can you give her another chance? His voice was pleading, his eyes full of hope. Mr. Beckett, I respect you, but this matter is irreversible. I know Victoria messed up, but she truly understands her error now. I hope, for the sake of the years you were married, I cut him off, Mr. Beckett, you understand. Some mistakes once made cannot be undone. She already fired Ethan. She deeply regrets it now. Firing Ethan doesn't solve the fundamental problem. Victoria not only disrespected me, but she also betrayed the trust between us. I don't tolerate deceit. There's no possibility left for us. If she doesn't sign the divorce papers soon, I will continue to crush Beckett Group until it completely collapses." Arthur Beckett's face turned grim. "I understand. I will persuade her to sign. I will raise Leo. The Beckett family can visit him any time. Though I felt sympathy for the old man, I wouldn't compromise my principles."
Nor did I want any further entanglement with Victoria Beckett.
Arthur sighed, nodded, and walked towards the door with stooped shoulders. 3 days later, the signed divorce agreement was delivered to my desk. Chapter 8. Night fell. I finished the last document and prepared to leave the office. As I walked out of the building, a disheveled figure caught my eye. Ethan Morgan was flanked by 2 security guards, his clothes torn, his hair messy. Seeing me, he struggled more violently, almost breaking free. "Sincere Clark, you did this to me. You ruined my career. You ruined everything." I kept a safe distance, looking down on him imperiously. "Mr. Morgan, you seem to have misunderstood something. You were fired because you are incompetent. Your so-called strategies were just second-hand garbage plagiarized from the internet, full of holes." Ethan's face alternated between shades of green and white, the fury in his eyes intensifying under my words. I continued, "You became Beckett's chief secretary only by exploiting Victoria's sympathy, playing the victim to gain pity. You're just an incompetent pretty boy who relies on pleasing women to get ahead. That's your essence. You deceived superiors and subordinates at the company, skimmed resources, bullied others. No one dared speak up because you hid behind Victoria, exploiting her trust and protection, didn't you? What do you think you are in my eyes? Just an incapable pretty boy, selling sob stories in your body to climb the ladder. People like you are worse than garbage." Ethan's face turned deathly white. I had clearly hit a nerve. He suddenly lunged, breaking free from the guards. "Shut up, I'll kill you." I didn't flinch. Just as he was about to reach me, the guard swiftly tackled him to the ground. I walked over, stepping on his hand. "Ethan Morgan, if you ever dare to appear before me again, I will ensure you die a miserable death. If I wanted to crush you, it would be easier than squashing an ant. You better pray I never see you again." Ethan completely broke down, screaming maniacally, "Sincere Clark, you'll die a horrible death. I'll kill you." The guards immediately covered his mouth and dragged him away. That night, an anonymous account leaked compromising photos online of Ethan Morgan working at a club. In the photos, he looked obsequious, entertaining several older, wealthy women with drinks. Subsequently, surveillance footage of him shoplifting and chat records from his university days showing him cheating girlfriends out of money were all exposed. I hadn't ordered anyone to do this, but plenty of people were eager to curry favor with me. Those hoping to gain Clark Corporation's favor did these things voluntarily. Arthur Beckett used his influence within the industry to blacklist Ethan Morgan, leaving him with nowhere to turn. Ultimately, Ethan could only return to the club where he started, resuming his old trade. Rumor has it that less than a month later he died from illness brought on by excessively taxing his body. As for me, within 6 months of the divorce, I secured 3 major contracts. My company's stock value doubled, and my career soared. Business Weekly even named me the most influential entrepreneur of the year. Victoria Beckett, with her father's help, began restructuring Beckett Group, embarking on the long road to corporate recovery. She occasionally appeared in business news, the sharpness in her eyes considerably faded, replaced by a touch of weariness. Chapter 9. 3 years passed in the blink of an eye. My company had become a leader in the industry, and my image as a single successful CEO made me the object of pursuit for many women. But my heart remained focused on my career and my son, Leo. I gave no further thought to romantic relationships. Leo was now 4 years old, bright and lively, with a smile much like mine. After the divorce, I dedicated most of my time to him, personally handling kindergarten drop-offs and pickups. I even set aside a small corner in my office filled with his toys and drawings so he could visit any time. "Daddy, when is Mommy coming to see me?" Leo suddenly asked, looking up at me, his eyes full of anticipation. I checked my phone calendar. Your birthday is the day after tomorrow. Mommy will probably bring presents. According to the divorce agreement, Victoria could visit Leo twice a month, for no more than 3 hours each time. In 3 years, she had never missed a single visit. No matter how busy she was, she would appear punctually at the agreed location, bringing carefully chosen gifts, doing everything possible to make up for her past failings. Although I still harbored resentment towards Victoria, for the sake of our son's healthy development, I never prevented his contact with her. Over these 3 years, Beckett Group gradually recovered under Victoria's efforts. While not as large as before, it operated steadily. We occasionally encountered each other at business events, exchanging nods of acknowledgement, nothing more. On Leo's 4th birthday, I hosted a small party at home, inviting his little friends and their nannies. In the afternoon, the doorbell rang. I opened the door to find Victoria standing outside holding a huge gift box, birthday present. I took the gift, nodded, and said, "I'll be back in exactly 3 hours." Victoria nodded, watching me leave with reluctance in her eyes. Over the past 3 years, she had repeatedly hinted, through various channels, at wanting to reconcile. She would deliberately mention the good times we once shared at business functions. She would linger for a few extra minutes after visiting Leo, trying to prolong our conversations. She even asked mutual friends to pass messages, saying she still loved me and was willing to start over. But I rejected all these attempts in various ways. Some things, once broken, can never be pieced back together. My current life-successful career, happy and healthy son was fulfilling. Compared to that past marriage, I lived more freely, more at ease.